Section 5. Mexican Immigrants. Soldiers were shooting all around. A flying bullet almost hit him. That was when Pablo Mares decided he needed to leave Mexico. I had to come to the United States, he said later, because it was impossible to live down there with so many revolutions. Mares had been caught in the middle of a bloody civil war, a conflict that began when Mexico's president allowed wealthy landowners to take over the lands of 6 million Indians and 8 million poor farmers. In 1910, landless farmers rebelled, breaking up large landholdings and giving the land to impoverished families. In response, soldiers attacked villages, killing thousands of peasants. Crossing the border. The Mexican Revolution dragged on for 10 years. Between 1910 and 1920, about 500,000 Mexicans entered the United States, and many did so freely without passports, a document issued by a citizen's home government that identifies a person and permits travel to other countries or money. Many Mexicans walked hundreds of miles to reach the border, carrying all they owned on their backs. In just one day, a Texas reporter saw hundreds of Mexicans all journeying northward on foot, on burroback, that's a donkey, and in primitive two-wheel carts. Others traveled north on the railroad lines that, by 1910, connected American and Mexican cities. Railroads provided both transportation and jobs for Mexican immigrants. One Mexican newspaper reported, "There is not a day in which passenger trains did not leave for the border full of Mexican men who are going in gangs to work on railroad lines in the United States." Mexicans in the United States. Mexicans were welcomed by many American employers, especially the expanding railroads and large-scale farms and ranches in the Southwest, which depended on laborers who were willing to work hard for little pay. After Congress banned Chinese immigration in 1882, these employers looked to Mexico for new workers. "Where I came from," said one Mexican construction worker, "I used to work 10 hours for $1.25. Then I came here and they paid $1.25 for 8 hours. It was good." Some Mexican immigrants found employment with railroads, mines, factories, and canneries, but most found work in agriculture. Mexican farm workers moved from region to region, harvesting crops as they ripened. They picked oranges in Southern California, almonds in Central California, apples in Oregon, and cotton in Texas and Arizona before moving on to sugar beets in Colorado. Farm work paid very little. One Texas farmer paid Pancho and his whole family 60 cents a day. He worked from sun to sun. Children worked in the fields with their parents to help support their families, leaving few with the opportunity to attend school. Farm workers often lived in camps that they built near the fields. Shelters were made of almost every conceivable thing. Burlap, canvas, palm branches, said one visitor. Some farms and ranches provided housing for their workers. Regardless of where they lived, these temporary homes usually lacked running water and basic sanitation. After harvest season, farm workers sometimes moved to nearby towns. Barrios, or Mexican neighborhoods, sprang up on the edges of cities near such farming areas as Los Angeles, California, San Antonio, Texas. Food stands and grocery stores in the barrios offered familiar tastes and smells, and residents helped each other take care of the sick and find jobs. On Mexican religious holidays, Catholic churches held special ceremonies, and the barrio became filled with singing, dancing, and fireworks. Many Mexican immigrants originally planned to return to Mexico after the revolution ended, which was encouraged by whites who believed that Mexicans were taking their jobs. One wrote, "I wish the Mexicans could be put back in their country." Mexicans who remained in the United States often faced strong prejudice. Compared to whites, they earned very low wages, and they had little say in their working conditions. In schools, white children were sometimes taught to boss their Mexican classmates, as they were expected to do when they grew up. Despite these problems, many Mexican immigrants chose to stay, like Isidro Osorio, a farm and railroad worker. They hope for a better future in their new homeland. I have worked very hard to earn my $4 a day, reported Osorio. That is why I want to give a little schooling to my children so that they won't stay like I am.